Listen up, y'all. If y'all love true crime stories from murders, cold cases, missing people, or just crazy stories that will have you just shaking your head, subscribe to patreon.com/celebrity underrated for exclusive content to get those type of stories. That's patreon.com/celebrity underrated, or just click the link in the description. You know, here's a story I did a long time ago, back in July 2019, that I always wanted to redo and make longer, especially with all this P. Diddy stuff going on. All this Diddy stuff in the media is going on now. And that's the story of music mogul Shakir Stewart. It's crazy because just a few weeks ago, Rolling Stone released an article about the Shakir Stewart, P. Diddy, and Kim Porter incident. You know, when it comes to the music industry, there was two guys that changed hip hop forever. And they are no longer with us, and that's Chris Lighty and Shakir Stewart. These guys were powerful executives in the music industry that played a major role behind the scenes and helped push the culture to what it is today. Shakir Stewart was loved in the streets, and he was loved in the office behind the desk in the entertainment world. Even Jay-Z told Shakir Stewart that he was way too smart to be running Def Jam, and he needed his own company and do global things around the world. Shakir is part of the reason that the Atlanta music wave came through and took over the music industry too. He's a big part of that Atlanta wave. He was also involved in putting out a bunch of number one hits that are still being played on the radio to this very day. But his death is still a mystery to some. What makes a man like Shakir Stewart, who was a powerful music exec, had mansions, cars, fame, net worth over $50 million, take his own life, y'all? His family and friends still struggle to make sense of it all. How could this man, so young and successful, take his own life like that? Or was it something deeper that drove him to do it? Was somebody after him, or was it too much stress? So let's get into his story, right? Now, Shakir Stewart was born on April 12, 1974 in Oakland, California. And to family and close friends, his nickname was Shake. They called him Shake. And he grew up with some celebrities you might know, like rapper Richie Rich and actor Russell Hornsby from the 50 Cent BMF series. Now, at an early age, he realized that the music business was his destiny and something he wanted to do for the rest of his life. While going to Berkeley's St. Mary's College High School, he began promoting parties in his neighborhood to make some extra money. And once he graduated high school, he began to throw and promote even bigger parties. After that, he wanted to take his marketing and promotions talent to the next level. So he enrolled in Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. It was important to him to go to a HBCU black college to get his education. So, once he got to college, he started hosting parties and concerts all around the city, passing out flyers every week. In an interview, he said he was passing out concert flyers at 7 clubs a night, 7 days a week, in 20-degree weather. That's how determined he was. Him and his friends from the Bay Area, Chris Hicks, Ryan Glover, and Henry Nooney Lee, ended up starting a party promotion business called Ivory Coast Entertainment. And once he became a local popular concert promoter, Shakir began promoting for big name acts like Luke Skywalker, Scarface, Nas, Too Short, just to name a few. But also around that time, he would face some tragedy when his childhood sweetheart and girlfriend ended up dying in a car accident, in which left him devastated and heartbroken. Now, in 1996, he graduated from Morehouse College with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing. And he and his friends, like I said, Chris Hick, Ryan Glover, and Henry Nooney Lee started Noontime Music, helping and launching the careers of singer-songwriter Jonte Austin, Jazzy Faye, and Brian Michael Cox. And they was working with everybody too, like Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Usher, and many more. Now, around 1999, his accomplishments and success he was having at Noontime ended up catching the attention of music mogul L.A. Reid, who at the time was running LaFace Records, and he had a music publishing company named Hitco. And L.A. Reid was so impressed by his talents that he offered Shakir an A&R consultant position with LaFace Records and made him their creative director of Hitco Publishing. And once he got that job with L.A. Reid, one of the first artists Shakir signed to Hitco Publishing was Beyonce. Wow. He got Beyonce. It's crazy because, years later, they say Shakir is the one and responsible for introducing Jay-Z to Beyonce. Wow. Now, also around that time in the year 2000, Shakir and P. Diddy's ex, Kim Porter, started dating. Because at that time, Diddy and Jennifer Lopez was together, then they had broken up after the club shooting that got rapper Sean deported and locked up. So once Jennifer Lopez peoples prevented Puff from seeing her, that's when Diddy wanted to get Kim Porter back. But she was dating Shakir Stewart at the time. But you know how Diddy is. Once you Diddy's girl, you always gonna be Diddy's girl. I remember him as Puff Daddy now, and all the wild stuff about him in the media throughout the 90s, the early 90s. Diddy got power, and he had Kim Porter's phone tapped to keep tabs on her, and he was calling her like 50 or 60 times a day during that time. Kim was done with him after he got Sarah Chapman pregnant, who was Tupac's ex-girlfriend. Wow. Diddy was wild. They say Puff had Kim Porter's whole house wiretapped to control her life. Now, apparently he had heard a conversation between Kim Porter and Shakir had asked Kim how were his babies doing. And when Puff heard that, he was ready to kill Shakir, because they also said that Shakir had got Kim Porter pregnant. They say Shakir had got Kim Porter pregnant according to Yuck Mouth from the Loonies, who is Shakir's cousin. So, the story goes, so with the whole Shakir and Puff beef, right? So the story goes, while waiting trial, Diddy was waiting trial for the club shooting, and he still ended up flying out to Italy for L.A. Reid's wedding. And after the ceremony, Diddy had went to Shakir's hotel room with some of his bodyguards. He confronted Shakir about talking to Kim Porter and saying he was the father of his babies because, like I said, he had Kim's phone tapped. He knew everything. He knew everything that was going on between them. And Shakir tried to explain to him that him and Kim was just friends and that he was just joking about the baby thing, trying to calm the situation down because he knew Diddy had bodyguards with him. But Shakir also told him that it was none of his business because he had left Kim Porter for Jennifer Lopez and other women. She was free to see who she wanted to see. But Diddy wasn't trying to hear that, and he ended up breaking a chair over his head. Wow. According to former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry, he said Diddy and his bodyguards confronted Shakir Stewart and attacked him in a hotel, hitting him with a chair, leaving him on the floor. And after that incident, they say Shakir was so afraid of Diddy and his bodyguards that he avoided going to work for weeks because he thought he might show up at his office and attack him again. And Shakir tried to keep quiet about the whole thing, but the people at the wedding started telling the media about it. But Diddy denied the whole thing and said it never happened. But both of them worked for L.A. Reid at the time, so he probably just, L.A. Reid probably just squashed the beef between them. And apparently, it's true because the accusations came from Shakir's mother and close friends. Now, Shakir's mother said Diddy left him bleeding on a hotel floor in Italy, and he had to have stitches. And then Diddy threatened him, saying that he was going to kill him. And that's when Shakir's mother told Shakir that he needed to get out of this business because P. Diddy is crazy. Wow. That's what Shakir's mother said, y'all. So it's true that he did hit Shakir in the head with a chair. I mean, love Diddy, man, as an artist, producer, for putting out some great music. But, man, he's accused of some serious stuff when it comes to women, because it was also rumored that he broke Kim Porter's nose during that time. And you see right now, he's going through a bunch of crazy accusations right now as we speak, with all the women he dealt with and some other crazy things he had done to male artists too. But anyway, so Shakir will go on to make Hitco a successful publishing company, and L.A. Reid would treat Shakir better than his own son and put his trust in him. They had a good relationship. Then L.A. Reid offered him an A&R position with LaFace Records after the company merged with Clive Davis at Arista Records. And once he became A&R for LaFace, the first person he was signed is R&B singer Ciara. Wow, so Shakir signed Beyonce, and now he got Ciara, two of the biggest female acts in the world. That's crazy. Man, hey, Shakir, the man knows talent. He knows talent. And with him running Hitco Publishing, some of the songs he was responsible for were Destiny's Child Survivor, Outkast The Way You Move, both of Beyonce's songs, Crazy in Love and Baby Boy, that hit #1, all #1 hits. Then also around that time now, Usher was working on his album, Confessions, and was in need of a big radio hit. So Shakir put the pieces together for Usher, Sean Garrett, JQ, Ludacris, and Lil Jon to work together. And they created Usher's #1 hit single titled Yeah, in which ended up winning Best Rap Song Collaboration at the 47th Grammy Awards and selling over 4 million copies. Now, in 2004, L.A. Reid was released from his contract at Arista and became the chairman and CEO of the Island Def Jam Music Group. And he hired Jay-Z as vice president to help him with the hip-hop artists. That was signed to the label because, L.A. Reid was more into dealing with the singers, not rappers. L.A. Reid was more of an R&B and pop type of guy. Now, L.A. Reid would also make Shakir Stewart vice president of A&R for Def Jam because of all the success they have together. In L.A. Reid's mind, he couldn't lose with Jay-Z and Shakir Stewart on his team. So once Shakir became the vice president of A&R for Def Jam, he wanted to try his luck with signing a rapper because, Shakir was just like L.A. Reid. They was into the R&B and the pop thing. That was where the money was. They didn't really see no money into the rap. But he wanted to try his luck with signing a rapper. And that's when his friend Noonie, who at the time was managing producer Jazzy Faye, let him hear some music from a rapper who he was working with named Young Jeezy. And Shakir loved Jeezy's music because he was rapping about street life. Next thing you know, Shakir brought his music to L.A. Reid, Jay-Z, and Kevin Liles for them to hear it. And Shakir told him that Young Jeezy was going to be the next big thing and they should sign him. So after that, they signed him. And once he signed him to Def Jam, that Jeezy album, Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101, ended up certified double platinum. On his second album, Thug Motivation 102, The Inspiration, Shakir was responsible for his hit song called Go Getter, and even got R. Kelly to sing on the hook. Then in 2006, he also brought Rick Ross to Jay-Z, signing him to a 4 albums, $10 million deal after he heard the song Hustlin'. Now, another group that Shakir also got a deal for was the R&B group called Brother, which composed of 5 real brothers who ended up signing with Jermaine Dupri and also having a reality show on BET titled Brothers to Brother. Shakir also signed rappers Ace Hood and Rocco the Don. Y'all know Rocco the Don. You don't even know that song. You don't even know. Now, in 2007, Shakir was arrested for gun possession while riding with his artist Young Jeezy in Miami, Florida, but he beat that case and only received probation. Also that same year in 2007 is when the feds began handing out indictments to Big Meech and members of the BMF family who hung with Shakir. Now, a former BMF employee testified that he sold bricks of cocaine to Shakir Stewart's artist Young Jeezy, but Jeezy was never indicted. But then, in December 2007, Jay-Z resigned as president of Def Jam to start his own company, Roc Nation. And once that happened, L.A. Reid was desperate to find someone to replace Jay-Z because, like I said earlier, L.A. Reid was an R&B guy, and he didn't really want to deal with the rappers on the label. But Shakir was around the rappers all the time and was always in the streets. And 6 months later, L.A. Reid gave the job to Shakir, naming him executive vice president of Def Jam in June 2008. So now with a big time position, you would think he would be happy. But people that were close to Shakir started to notice that he was acting strange. According to his fiancée, Michelle Rivers, she stated that for several weeks, his behavior was inconsistent and she believed Shakir was in deep pain and largely suffering in silence. Suffering in silence. They say he was being followed everywhere he went, and he was also looking out the windows all the time like someone was after him or something. Now, according to L.A. Reid, he said that he noticed a change in Shakir while he and Shakir were out there in Las Vegas. Now, in his book, L.A. Reid's book is called Sing to Me. He said while they were on the airplane to Las Vegas, Shakir had got a text from somebody that turned him completely dark. And as soon as they landed in Vegas, Shakir told him that he had to leave to go back to Atlanta ASAP to deal with something. Then he said the next time he saw him, he could tell that something was troubling him. Then L.A. Reid said on that Halloween day, which was a Friday, he came to work, and when he entered his office, Shakir was nervous and fidgety. His hands were shaking and he acted like he wanted to say something. He was moving his mouth, but he couldn't speak. Then he said Shakir went to his office and he saw him just staring up in space. And that's when he told Shakir to go take some time off. Then they went to Mariah Carey's party, and that was the last time he saw him. Because on November 1st, 2008, Shakir Stewart took his own life, y'all. He shot himself in the head. Now, the story goes because the day before, which was a Halloween day, October 31st, Shakir had gone trick-or-treating with his fiancée and his 5-year-old daughter. So after trick-or-treating, some hours later, Shakir's fiancée, Michelle, noticed a change in his behavior after they returned home. Now, she said he woke up and said he done sold his soul to the devil, and when he looked in the mirror, he didn't see himself anymore. Wow. Now, she also said his behavior was so strange that she called his friend Herb Smith over to help, but when he arrived, that's when Shakir began yelling and telling him to leave and go back home to his wife and children. And according to his friend Herb Smith, he said that's when he stepped outside to call 911. But then seconds later, he heard a gunshot. And when he ran upstairs, that's when he found Shakir on the master bedroom floor with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. And when police arrived, his friend Herb Smith told them that Shakir was wigging out. Now, the police did not comment on whether he left a suicide note. And, his family and friends say the police did a horrible job of investigating his death. Shakir was taken to the hospital and later pronounced dead. That's a shame, man. Like I said, man, his wife stated the day before he committed suicide, he told her that he just realized he had sold his soul to the devil and couldn't even look himself in the mirror. And after his death, all the rumors began to swirl about his suicide. Some blame L.A. Reid for putting too much pressure on him to produce songs for the company, which put him in a deep depression. Some say the whole BMF indictments thing by him being affiliated with Young Jeezy had something to do with his suicide. I heard something about a sex tape and somebody was trying to extort him. They say he was running from a certain rapper and armed gangbangers. Now, his friend Kenny Burns stated the entertainment business killed him. He said the business, it tears you up because it consumes you. This is the type of business that takes and doesn't give back. Another close friend named Sean Granberry, who grew up with Shakir since they were kids, say Shakir had insomnia and couldn't sleep, and he was taking a drug called Ambien to treat his insomnia. And the side effects to Ambien may range from mild symptoms such as drowsiness to more severe symptoms that should be discussed with your doctor, including complex sleep behaviors, suicidal thoughts, and significant next day impairment. And with Shakir living that rock party lifestyle, drinking, smoking mixed with Ambien, that's what caused him to have suicidal thoughts, and he took his own life, according to his friend Sean Granberry. That's what he feels. But others that was close to him was saying he was also being followed everywhere in his cars. He had cars parked out the side of his house that he didn't know. His phone was being tapped. Former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry said he knows the truth about what happened and said the truth will come out one day. He basically said Shakir had done something he wasn't supposed to do. It's just crazy because look, like I said earlier, his fiance, Michelle Rivers, she released a statement through the record label saying, over the past several weeks, Shakir's behavior was inconsistent with the man we all know and love. And as much as we tried to help him, Shakir was in deep pain and largely suffering in silence. Now, at Shakir Stewart's private memorial in Atlanta, R&B singer Neo sang "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday." And they say L.A. Reid did not attend the funeral. They also say that L.A. Reid didn't want to help pay for the funeral expenses and refused to even take calls from the family, but later realized he was wrong for that and got the label to pay for it. Wow. It's crazy because, like I said, I read L.A. Reid's book and he said Shakir was his best friend. And he talked about how much people was blaming him for his death because he put too much pressure on him. Plus, when L.A. Reid offered Shakir that vice president job after Jay-Z left, they say Shakir drove around with the contract for 2 weeks before signing it and said he felt like he had made a contract with the devil. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Now, in 2009, the Georgia Music Hall of Fame Awards inducted Shakir Stewart for his work in the music industry. And his wife, kids, and parents accepted his award. But after the award presentation, as the lights went down, an argument started between his wife and his parents backstage that the audience could hear. They say they could hear a woman's voice yelling, "Get the F off of me," because their mics were still on. Something happened backstage between his fiance and parents. Now, in 2012, his mother and St. Mary's College High School started the Shakir Stewart Empowerment Fund. And it's crazy because just a few weeks ago, like I said, Rolling Stone released an article about the Shakir, Diddy, and Kim Porter incident. Rolling Stone released a 6-month investigative report titled Bad Boy for Life, featuring accounts gathered from Diddy's former friends, acquaintances, employees, bad boy artists, and industry insiders who spoke about their experiences. And they alleged that Diddy had a history of violent outbursts, including once when he allegedly broke a chair over the head of Kim Porter's boyfriend, Shakir Stewart. It's true because his mother said it the other day in the Rolling Stone thing. And they also talked about a bunch of other violent behavior things Diddy did. I know when actor Jackie Long played in ATL. He played, what was his name in ATL? Esquire or something. But he was dating Kim Porter for a while. And Diddy made death threats to him and made several phone calls to Jackie Long saying he will erase him off the face of this earth and he was going to have Jackie killed, allegedly. And Jackie Long filed a police report against him. I don't know. I kind of remember that was in the blogs one time in the media back in the day. And singer Albie Shore, him and Diddy had problems for years. But there was a documentary that was supposed to come out called The Shakir Stewart Story, Death of a Music Mogul, directed by Mark Adam. And he had raised almost $40,000 on a Kickstarter fundraiser campaign, but it ended up being canceled for some reason in 2014. Maybe they didn't get enough money to raise to get the documentary going, but there's a trailer on YouTube if you want to check it out. The Death of a Music Mogul, the Shakir Stewart story. And his wife, Michelle Rivers, also had a documentary about his life called Shaken, the Shakir Stewart story, but that was never released either. It's a trailer. They do have a trailer out for that too online. But it never came out. Now, TV One did an episode about him on a show called The Celebrity Crime Files, but that's the only thing I saw about his life. And you know what? You can't find that episode nowhere no more. Sean Granberry got one on a channel if you Google it, but it's not the whole episode though. TV One Celebrity Crime Files, they also did an episode on Chris Lighty too, who also committed suicide. These two guys, man, Chris Lighty and Shakir Stewart, were becoming giants in the music industry, and both of them just committed suicide like that. That's crazy. Sad, man. Shakir Stewart was only 34 years old, y'all. 34 years old, successful businessman like that, on his way to the top. Man, rest in peace, Shakir Stewart.